Well, welcome back, everybody. We've got another special guest here. I know you guys have been enjoying these interviews that we've been doing. We have with us a special guest, Mike Provanzano, who is an actor and a voice actor and a commercial actor. He is from the world of business, kind of up and coming in the acting world. How are you doing, Mike? Nice to talk to you.
I'm doing great, Mark. Thank.
Now, I know that you started out in the business world, early in your life, and you've been making the transition to acting. What inspired you to start to pursue this?
Well, it was something I wanted to do when I was younger, but I don't think I was even close to being prepared to try it. I don't think I had the what's the term? I wasn't there. Mentally, I don't think I could have done it. And about 5 years ago or 4 years ago, I was working with a friend of mine in the construction business. And long story short, he had purchased a design firm, and one of the guys that came with the company is an acting instructor. So I was only there helping him out with a project. And when I was leaving, the guy said, "Hey, you should check out this school." And I remember saying, "Are you blowing smoke up my ass?" And he goes, "No, no, no, for real." So I went and checked it out, and went to an open call with about 60 people. And the director at the end of the open call said, "We're going to invite four of you to our school." And I'm like, "Oh, wow." Um, and I was one of the four that got invited to the school. So I took the class. I got picked up by an agent in the Philadelphia market literally as soon as I graduated the class and kind of started. So it was kind of, if he wouldn't have said something, I don't know that I'd be here today.
Interesting. So he'll get when you win an Oscar. I'm sure he'll get thanked in the acceptance
Absolutely.
speech.
I'll be like, who am I forgetting? Who am I forgetting? Stop the music.
So I know that you've done a lot of commercial work. You've done some films. You're starting to do some voiceover work. Of those, which do you think is the most enjoyable to you?
I enjoy it all. I also do some, excuse me, I also do some modeling. And, but I did a commercial last year for Land Rover, their Land Rover experience. And they basically flew me down to North Carolina to their experience center. We stayed at the Biltmore, and we're basically off-road driving for 2 days.
Okay.
Cool. Really fun experience. It was a huge, production, and it turned out really, really nice. But it was, I had a blast with it, and so for me, I enjoy, doing each one of these. I really am humbled to the fact that and honored that people want to use me for a project, and I've kind of always have felt that way since day one.
Mhm.
And from my first short film that I was able to do when I first got into this to where I'm at now, and trying to continue to grow my craft and my resume. I've got a pretty decent resume for the short time I've been doing it, but I just enjoy helping others bring their concept to life.
So now you've done a lot of voiceover acting. You started to get into that, as you said. I know that you're doing a new video game called Project Time Jump. What's what's the difference between, as far as acting goes, and the different approach between voice acting and live action acting?
So voice acting, most of the work I've done for voice has been out of my home studio, which is kind of cool. So there's no stress of, if you don't do it right, you just do it again. And I guess the live part, if there's dialogue, you kind of make sure in your mind that you come across as genuine and sincere. Where with voice, you don't have to show it. You know what I mean? You still need to come across that way, but you don't have to have the expressions and all that stuff. And I think for me, just naturally, when you're trying to do something with your voice, I think your face shows it anyway because of, if you can tell somebody is smiling when they're talking, even just through voice versus if they're not. But like I said, you're not under the lights, and you don't have a bunch of people looking at you. Not that that bothers me at all, but I haven't done a ton of voiceover work to the point where I can give you a clear solid. But like I said, for the voiceover work that I've done so far, it's been great. I mean, it's not hard. It's easy to do if you've got a nice setup in your house. You can do it from home. But I really enjoy being on the camera. So I not that I enjoy watching myself on camera, but my kids do. But I just have a blast being on set and getting to meet others and work with other people and continuously learning from what others have experienced. And also, even though I've only been doing this for a short period of time, I have insights that I get to offer people as well. Yeah. I really enjoy that.
What's the difference between doing commercials and doing films as far as the acting approach goes?
Yeah, commercials. A lot of the commercials that you do, you don't have any dialogue, and it's more about the expression you provide. There are scenes where you have action to take, and so the dialogue is minimal, but you still have to really portray the character they're looking for. And for me, at least from a film perspective, there can be a lot more dialogue, and the dialogue part, if you don't, it shows when you really don't, or when you focus on the words, you lose your character, and that's the one thing I've noticed. I did a role about 2 years ago where I played a person with early onset Alzheimer's. And when I did the research for that, and kind of understanding what someone would look like and all that stuff, you really have to put time and effort into preparing for a film. Where a commercial, you really don't have to, because when you show up at a commercial, it's not like they've given you a script and all that stuff. You kind of, unless you're doing a testimonial of some sort, then they give you an idea. But some of the testimonials I've done literally on set, and talked about the product without, and I just saw the product that day or recently. But with film, you really need to think long and hard about what you're going to do, how you're going to try to portray the character that you've been tasked to play. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is the biggest difference, is that you really need to put time and effort into the film work, because if you don't, it's going to show.
So it sounds like, and let me know if I'm getting the sense of this correctly, is that in a film you're playing, you're taking a lot of time to flesh out a character, and obviously commercials are shorter. You have to make an impact more quickly, and the characters are probably broader. So you're focusing more on the emotion as far as just broadly portraying an emotion as far as the commercials go, and more characterization in films. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now what would you say is the most exciting project that you have coming up right now?
Coming up, I've got a few, but I would say I'm going to be playing a vampire in the fall. So I'm really looking forward to that one. It should be an interesting one. But I also, I guess it's two of them. I've got that one, and I also have another horror film that I'm playing in where I'm going to play a doctor. So they're the two upcoming that I'm really looking forward to. And right now I'm in the middle of a short film that is a horror film as well, and I'm playing an evil father. And I can just leave it at that. But I'm really looking forward to I mean, I have another one that's probably not going to be till next year, where I play an abusive husband and father. And so I'm looking forward to playing the roles that I haven't had the opportunity to play before, because I've played a doctor, I've played a police officer, I've played a CEO. I've had some of those roles already, where I play dad, routinely. And so it's nice to step out of that and do something I haven't done before. And the short that I'm doing right now for the horror film, I had a blast. I did my first scene the other night, and it looks really cool. Turned out, they showed me a small clip of it, and it turned out really neat, and it was fun.
Now, how do you take the sensibilities from what you've learned being successful in business and carry them over to being in the acting world and trying to achieve success there?
Well, I guess, to make it as easily understandable as possible, is in the business world, you create goals for your company or your department, whatever it might be. And a lot of businesses create annual goals. They write business plans out once a year. And some companies they go back a year later and they look and say, hey, how did we do? Without really focusing on those goals. Where the companies that do it right, they create the goals together as a management team, and then they literally work on those goals weekly. They kind of talk about them and how it's going, and you set quarterly goals to kind of chart your progress, number one. But if something happens in your business industry, if you only have goals for the quarter and something happens with the economy or the government or something like that, and you need to make a shift, it's not as hard as if you've got all these grandiose plans for the year and wait a minute, now I got to stop and realign my business. So, I understand that in the business world. So what I took from that was, we literally, where I used to work, had a website that was designed around the company goals. So I actually have access to the website, and I still use it today. Started using it last January with a friend of mine who also, got in the industry about the same time as me. We met on a shoot. We did a shoot for Field and Stream 2 years ago. And we both created business plans for ourselves for the year. And we literally talk once a week at a minimum on how we're doing in the goals we've created for the quarter. So I've created an annual goal of professional achievement, and or I've got a goal for a revenue goal for the year, and then I take for the quarter and say, all right, for the first quarter, if I have a goal of X for the year, and I'll make up a fictitious number and say I have a goal of $100,000 for the year. Well, I'll set a target for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And throughout the quarter, not just looking at where I'm at, but I'm kind of predicting where I'm going to finish, if that makes sense. And I do that on all of the goals that I've created, and so does my friend Rich. And it makes a huge difference, because while it's on a website and it's color-coded and all that stuff, it's cool to look at your success, and it's also cool to talk about where you're not hitting. You know what I mean? Like I didn't create a big goal for my voiceover work because I haven't done a lot of it, where I've created higher benchmarks for modeling or industrial work or spokesperson work, because I've done more of that in the past. And then I track a lot of the things that I do. So I track how many submissions I reach for every week. It's kind of like if you've heard of KPIs, key performance indicators, they're the things that you do, and you report on what you do. So I track, I have a goal of 30 submissions for new opportunities every week. And when I talk to people about that on set, or when I'm having this conversation with others, they're like, really? That seems like a lot. And 30 is a lot, but I get extremely close to that every week. And a lot of people don't understand that. So I track my submissions, I track my auditions, I track my work, I track my revenue. I track my callbacks. I track my self tapes. So there's a lot of things that I track to help me along the way. And as time goes on, and I've been using the system since last January, I can now look back and say, all right, when was a good time of the year? When was a slower time of the year? If you know when was a busier time?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the summertime typically slows down because people go on vacations. Just like December slows down because of the holidays. But using my business background to set goals for the different areas, whether it's marketing, it's skills development, it's revenue, or just performance achievement. It's important that everyone do that in this industry. I understand that it's a creative industry, but if you don't treat it like a business, I don't know that you're going to get to where you want to be long term. But when you set goals for yourself, it's amazing, number one, how it makes you feel when you achieve them, because you've actually set something, and when you set a stretch goal and you reach it, you're really pumped up. Where if you just do a job and you don't really have a goal, does it feel as rewarding?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I totally know where you're coming from there. So now, as far as where you want to get to in your acting career, what would you see as the kind of ideal path? For instance, getting on a regular television show, or being in a not necessarily a blockbuster movie, but a movie that gets recognition. Going farther into the voiceover kind of stuff. What path do you think that you want to go on to get where you want to be?
Right. Well, I want to go down a few paths, but I will tell you one of the first goals that I created was I wanted to be in honestly, I wanted to be in a leading role on a Hallmark show.
Mm-hmm.
It was just something I wanted from out of the gate, and I still have that as a goal for myself. I would love to be in a film in a supporting role that made a difference, that was out there. Even the commercial work, thankfully I've had success playing different or being in different sides of the industry. So I enjoy doing the commercial work too. It's not that I don't, I really do enjoy it. And I think there's a strong path for me there based on where I've been so far. So I know a lot of people kind of like, well, I want to just do this one thing, but if I could get on an episodic show, that'd be awesome too. And that's the nice thing. I think I've been blessed enough to be able to go in a few directions, whether it be a commercial, career, or a film, or even TV career. And even my modeling work is starting to pick up. The print work is starting to pick up. So it's, and a friend told me, he said, I wouldn't worry about the voiceover work. I wouldn't focus on it, because I have a look that allows me to be on camera. So why waste that by being behind, being just a voiceover artist? But, for me, my goal is to support my family doing this from a full-time standpoint, not a part-time standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that would you say that being diverse like that opens more doors than being closed off to doing things?
I think so, because it gives you more opportunities to succeed or to work. It allows you to learn the different aspects of the work. Doing a commercial is way different than doing a film, and getting the experience on both sides is great. And there's no doubt about it. And like I said, I just feel blessed that I have the option to do each part, mm-hmm. or to be considered for different roles.
Well, I think I can speak for our fans out there when I say we definitely wish you the best in the future. Where can people find you? Online, Twitter, Facebook. I don't know what the kids are using now.
I don't know what the kids are using either, but I know how I can be found. I have a website. It's www.mikeprov, and that's MikeProv.com. It's in the works of being overhauled right now, but that's still my website. I'm on Facebook at Mike A. Prov, and on Instagram at MikeProv01. And then I can be found on IMDb or LinkedIn. Just search Mike Provanzano and you'll find me. I'm not on Twitter, but I don't know if I should be yet or not. But I really wasn't a big social media guy until I got into the business, and now I'm there. So yeah. I love promoting the work that I've done, or the opportunities I've had, and the people I've had the opportunities to meet and work with. And I just all I can say is I'm having a blast, and I love helping others take their dream to the next level at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you today, Mike, and we will link your website and all that stuff below, so anyone listening, if you're on YouTube or if you're on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this, just check out the that information below, and you will be able to find Mike. We wish you luck in the future, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate being part of your program.